So this one is called Slow Down a Little. Heavy with our usual lives, we have been following a routine without questioning where we are starting from or where we are headed. This has been ongoing since times endless, and it is taken for granted that a person has to do a certain set of things for them to progress in life or to become stable in life or to have fun in life. And what I have observed out of many instances, maybe out of death of a relative, breakup in relationships, breakdown of friendships, is that it's not necessarily true that this is how life functions. The general perception of how things should be and how things are is very flawed. And usually, for everyone, parents are the people who guide us, yet parents are also children in a way, and it is life's experiences that teaches anyone. So in a way they are ahead of us, but at the same time it is bit more than life experiences is what teaches us. It is an ability to explore, firstly to be sensitive to what happens to us, because there are many things that happen to us, and yet one person can have the same experience and he might learn from it, and simultaneously 100 people similarly could have the same experience with the same intensity, but they don't experience it in that way. So that is what I would like to say, that about sensitivity firstly, and then another part of it is what we learn out of it. Or even if we are sensitive, we are coming from a lot of conditionings which does not help us to basically take that input or that stimulus and respond to it in a way which would be ideal to that scenario. When I talk about conditionings, firstly it always comes through genetics. The Special Gene is an interesting reading which I might recommend to you guys. But one part of it is our genetics, which is already designed for us to be survival specialist or something. Like any individual or any organism, not just humans, they are behind their own survival. And it's very interesting to study about this. That is one thing, having a survival mechanism we already have. At the same time, conditionings also means what we have been fed by society, by our upbringing, our the backgrounds that we are coming from. So that is one thing, and our response to it, because of our conditionings or the way humans are, we have fears. We The survival mechanism, as many philosophers or even mystics tell about it, that we are programmed in a way, and now that we have humanity has so-called civilized, so we don't use those survival mechanism. We basically don't have a use for it to the extent that we used to have before. And it could be a very utopian, a very beautiful reality to exist in a place where our survival mechanisms are lowered to a point that we can actually collaborate or live quite beautifully. That is something ideal, but right now we need to talk of where we are. So as I was saying, that we are stuck in the cycles or in the play or in the torture of life, which is basically restricting us, and we feel frustrated by it, yet we see that there is no other way. So For them, this is the message that there is a life beyond that. We need to slow down, we need to sit down, sit back, relax, reflect. Because usually in our cycles, what happens is even the weeks, like how work usually, when you are doing a job, is designed, it's programmed in a way where we basically work for say 5 days a week or 6 days a week, and the 6 days like a relaxation. So it's like a pressure cooker where you are accumulating a lot of stress, because you are doing stress also accumulates, because one thing is the task is tough, that is still good, but another way of accumulating stress is when you are not doing what is required. Basically, in this realm, what it means is, when we are talking about work, is that we are programmed in a way, like, okay, we have been taught certain things for a few semesters of our curriculum, and then we graduate and go on to our workplaces, and what we do is follow that, or if that is not quite ready to be followed into the workplace, we usually learn at the workplace. We see a set of principles, okay, these are the certain criteria in which we can operate successfully, or we can operate without the least amount of friction. And then what happens is that least amount of friction, it becomes like a habit for us. Okay, this is going okay without having a lot of friction. So we forget exploring, we forget creating, we sort of just get settled within the box, stop thinking out of the box. And it's one thing to say to think about out of the box, but when you have been programmed since childhood to live in a particular way, so it becomes quite difficult for someone to do that. And that's why the art of unconditioning, or just sit back and looking at things, becomes very important, to reflect on what one has been doing. Like, there is a very interesting concept called Trupti in Eastern religions, Hindu philosophy also. So, where a person or a saint asks the seeker that what is it are you getting out of the things or the acts that you are doing. And once a person is able to see, like when we were also talking about the weekday and the weekend, that what is happening is that the weekend is just being utilized to maybe get into some sort of a pleasure, like maybe party with alcohol, booze, or smoking. Basically, it's not about uh, what things are bad for you, something like that, but we need to go deeper to understand the essence of what lies behind that action. Only then we can understand it. So what we are trying is, like, there is a pressure built up throughout the week, and we sort of try to just relax it at the end of it. So what that creates is that just a cycle where you are trying to, like, basically this is just sustaining yourself in the same sphere. You are just the cycle is being prolonged. So there is no such principle like, okay, work is doing a job is bad or something. That's quite a stretch. But what I am implying is that you are just trying to maintain a cycle in that way. You are never going to come out of that cycle or just even question it. Not necessarily the answer is not doing a job for the stress. Maybe it could be like you need to implement certain things for increased efficiency. You could do a higher order of work. Maybe like it could be anything. Like the solution could be anything. Yet what we are basically delving on is a cycle that is being propagated out of a lack of awareness about the entire situation and a fear of reflecting on it. And there are like innumerable cycles going on just because we are scared of reflecting. And when I was talking about the Trupti part of it, so it is about questioning what one is getting out of it, and what one gets out of it is not necessarily the end product, maybe joy, work satisfaction, that is still secondary. But when you are doing something, you need to see, like right now where we are at, like we don't want to talk in terms of the extreme spiritual enlightenment or things like that, because they we don't know if they exist or they do not, they are like still quite away. But right now where we are at, we can certainly see that there is a cycle going on, and we are doing certain actions. So if one reflects on that, then they understand that what is really happening. And that's like basically out of your actions, if you do something, what are you getting out of it? Is it taking you towards peace? Is it taking you towards joy? Or is it like currently whatever your definition of peace or joy is, so is it taking you towards it, or is it bringing you in a cycle where you feel like you have achieved something, maybe 5-10 minutes of a trance, or maybe a day of happiness, but then it is clouded again with the same sort of anxiety and stress for the entire week that follows. So this is something that one should question, and questioning this then brings us to the next practice, that is Neti-Neti, which is a very important part of Advaita Vedanta, where practitioner is told to remove things one by one, ask, do this questioning, do this inquiry, and once you see that they are not really helping you or getting you anywhere, rather they are plunging you into a cesspit or a cycle which is just designed to fail. So just removing one thing and seeing what is happening. And it's like most important part of this is when you are removing something, because sometimes we do take the steps, we have the willpower and we do it, but still being conscious, continuously seeing okay, when I am removing some things, and seeing what is happening due to it. So that is the real practice, and that leads to real minimalism. Otherwise it doesn't last. Basically, if you think okay, I'll fast on these days or I'll do something like that, then usually it does not last. Even I am a vegan, so basically I have seen a lot of people getting into veganism because they want to do it for health reasons, or they just feel like quite enthusiastic on a day, or they feel like it is in trend. Most importantly, more than anything else, many people who do it for the reason that it is trendy, they sort of tend to forego of it quite frequently. Like you see some celebrity picking it up, and maybe in 1 to like not even that much long of a time frame, maybe 1 or 2 months, you see them doing something quite contrary. So when one adopts something after a lot of reflection and thought and inquiry, so that is when the things last. And this is applicable in all the dimensions of life. Otherwise it's just a thing to maybe get you out of your boredom for a bit, but of course that's not going to be a solution. We just try to prolong our problems. So sit back and think about it.